This program is proudly brought to you by the Albion Park Harness Racing Club's additional $78,000 contribution to prize money, being distributed from October to December in selected MO to M4 races. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Blinkers Off. Hope it's been a good weekend for you as we approach Christmas. And Chris Barsby is with me, of course, every Monday night. How are you, Chris?
Very well, thanks, David.
Lord Mayor's Cup night on Saturday night. Good field, Destrayos. He's just a great pacer under any conditions. And his Albion Park strike rate must be phenomenal. We'll talk about that more later. Of course, plenty coming up tonight too. First of our two-part series with Shane Graham. Plenty of news as well, and highlights from Albion Park. And speaking of Albion Park, the LNP's Tim Nichols was in attendance for the Lord Mayor's Cup night, and Anthony Collins had the chance to chat with him.
Joining us here on Blinkers Off is Shadow Racing Minister and Shadow Treasurer, Mr. Tim Nichols. Welcome along to Blinkers Off, Tim.
Thanks very much. Nice to be here, and a little bit damp this evening, but still a good night for racing here at Albion Park.
It's been a great night of racing so far, hasn't it?
It has. It's been great to be here. This is now, I think, the 10th Lord Mayor's Cup I've been to, so I've enjoyed them all, and my wife and I come down here as frequently as we can. It's great to be part of the racing industry. My electorate of Clayfield, of course, includes Albion Park as well as Doomben and Eagle Farm, so it's very much in the lifeblood of politics in Clayfield.
Yeah, it certainly is, and lifeblood of politics. That's the big issue at the moment, isn't it? A very interesting time coming up in Queensland.
Sure, look, there's some real challenges ahead, and we know that the racing industry, which has been such an important part of Queensland's community life and also our business life, is facing some big challenges. So we're looking forward to tackling those challenges as part of a new government if we're fortunate enough to be successful and get the support of the people of Queensland. And we know, there's been a lot of angst recently over the way things have been done.
And it's such a large industry in Queensland as well. It's ranked in the top 10 of the Queensland employers. Very
much so. I mean, there are various numbers around depending on how you count it, but I think across the board people understand how important racing is, from whether you're a trainer, whether you're supplying feed, whether you're a fettler. It doesn't matter. It all affects all parts of Queensland. But really importantly, it affects community. People love getting out and going to the races, and that's the thing that we want to see happen more of here in Queensland.
They certainly do, and as you mentioned in your electorate, Doomben, Albion Park and Eagle Farm. Yep. Albion Park in particular has made the headlines a lot recently.
Oh, for sure. Look, we in the LNP remain committed to keeping harness racing here at Albion Park. We don't want to see it being sold off. We understand the value that people have in having this track located here, so we've made a commitment to keep Albion Park and to keep harness racing going here at Albion Park, and we'll be making our intentions very clear about that.
And the million-dollar question at the moment is Deagon versus Albion Park.
Well, we've said quite clearly that we're not very happy with what's being proposed up there at Deagon. We know the people up in Deagon, particularly the trainers up there, are very unhappy with it. We've got 1,000 metres here, which seems to work pretty well. I think you'd have to have a very, very good reason to relocate, and we aren't convinced that that reason's been made yet.
Speaking to some leading trainers and drivers at the recent Gold Coast Cup night, 1,400 metre track. A couple of these guys came up from New South Wales. 1,400 versus 1,000. You just touched on that. 1,000 seems to be the go with them as well, and they should know they've raced on it.
Well, you've got to listen to the people who do know and the people who are out there. And tonight we've had, I think we've had 3 photos and 7 races tonight. So it's there's a close competition. There's a real competition here, and I think that's what 1,000 metres does deliver, a really tight competition that both the punters, the trainers and the drivers can all enjoy.
Our other million-dollar question is the Gold Coast, the future of Parklands. Blinkers Off has touched with that topic quite a little in recent times. Commonwealth Games coming up. It's a million-dollar question. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the future of Parklands is something we're very close to. We know that the Greyhounds have been pretty unhappy with what's happened to them. We'll be having a close look at Parklands and what we can do there and how we can perhaps look at what comes out of Parklands to build a future for harness racing on the Gold Coast.
Of course, across the 3 codes, it's not only harness racing, it's the Greyhounds and the Gallops as well that we're interested in.
Very much so, and so am I. I'm about building the racing industry across all 3 codes, and we know prize money, for example, is a big issue, so we need to talk to people about what we can do to improve prize money across all 3 codes, how we can get everyone working together at a high level without breaking down the individuality of each of the 3 codes. And so we've said that we believe there should be 3 different control bodies for the 3 different codes. We don't believe that the Racing Queensland experiment has worked. We need to go and have another look at that.
Yeah, very much so. And I believe country racing's on your agenda as well.
Exactly. We've committed $1 million to 20 extra country race meetings each year for the next 4 years of an LNP government if we're successful. And whether you're going to Kilcoy, whether you're going to Warwick, or like me, going out to Chinchilla next week, there's some real hope in country racing because it is the nursery of racing in metropolitan Queensland and for Australia too. So we need to make sure country racing is strong in Queensland.
It's very much the grassroots level, isn't it?
It is. For trainers, for owners, for jockeys, it's really the nursery. And if we don't look after it, we won't get the great races that we expect to see in the metropolitan and regional cities.
Yeah. Been great to talk to you here on Blinkers Off tonight, Tim. We better get out of this rain. There's an approaching thunderstorm.
It does. It's a pity, but we've got through most of the races, so it's looking good. Thanks for having me on.
Good on you, Tim.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye now.
Tim Nichols there with Anthony Collins. Of course, drawing closer to election time, which I believe is going to be about late February, we'll be hearing more about the LNP's racing policies, which I think is so important because people want to hear what the alternative is.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's fast approaching the election, as you said, probably late February, so we'll be getting the policy through pretty shortly, so it's going to be all important for the future.
I've got some news first before you start. You might recall, folks, 2 weeks ago we talked about the need for a full-time chairman of stewards for harness and greyhound racing, and Jamie Orchard, who's the Director of Integrity Operations, replied to my piece that night. He said, David, I agree that it would be preferable to have a chief steward, harness and greyhounds, appointed on an ongoing basis. It was on that basis that we conducted the earlier process to try to identify an appropriate person for what is a very important role. Unfortunately, that process was not successful, and accordingly, Mr Hackett was appointed in an acting capacity to that position. Mr Hackett has done a very good job while filling in this role and has effectively implemented a number of approaches and measures that we were anxious to see commenced. Most importantly, he ends by saying, I am hopeful of being in a position to appoint someone to the ongoing position in the near future. So we thank Jamie for that reply, and we will be following that story up. Okay, news-wise, Mr Feelgood, the Cranbourne Cup winner on Saturday night. He now goes to the Victoria Cup. Who drives him?
Well, Luke McCarthy has confirmed that he will be driving Mr Feelgood. Of course, he is the defending Victoria Cup champion, Mr Feelgood. He was brilliant there on Saturday night, so Luke McCarthy will be taking the drive, so that paves the way for John to stick with the last start. True Memorial, the winner was Sharkey. Andy, who drove Franco Jamar, will be taking the drive on that pacer. Hopefully, if he wins the Victoria Cup, he might get a write-up in the magazine. It's very disappointing that the QPC, the biggest race in Queensland, no story in the local Gazette, not even a picture. Very disappointing.
Yeah, it certainly was. On the Luke McCarthy stable, a bit more news there.
He's picked up a few more exciting horses, this time from Victoria. Ian Frost has sent north R11, a last start winner at Ballarat. I'm Full of Fire, who we've seen here in Queensland before. He came up for the Derby a few seasons ago. They're both bound for Luke's stable. Just an update on Franco Jamar. He is due to fly out tomorrow week, so he'll contest the Victoria Cup, flying back to New Zealand on the Tuesday.
Now, Sydney driver Matt Rue was the subject of an inquiry into his drive on, I think, Garnet River on Miracle Mile Night, but that's been finalised?
Yeah, that's been finalised. That was wrapped up last Thursday night at Penrith. He was suspended for a total of 6 weeks. He will be appealing that suspension. It was interesting to hear a few of the thoughts of Luke McCarthy, because he won the race with his other runner, Mac Wiper, but he will be appealing against that 6-week suspension.
The latest on the New South Wales investigations.
Well, Paul O'Toole was in court last Thursday. That's been adjourned until February 17. And then we've got Michael Larusso, trainer Michael Larusso, due to front court on Wednesday. Cameron Fitzpatrick will be the following day on Thursday.
Clive Palmer didn't mince words in the Gold Coast Bulletin last week. He's pretty firm. He wants to destroy Bob Bentley. Yeah,
they were the words, quote unquote, I'll destroy him. They're strong words indeed. It was the back page of the Gold Coast Bulletin on Friday. It was also the lead story on the inside page of the Sport there. So you're right, he didn't mince words, so he's got some big backing behind him, Clive Palmer, and he's going to go right on with it by the sound of it.
Whilst on Racing Queensland, Deegan, of course, is a hot topic, but some news surfaced last week in their local paper.
The Bayside Star, front page story, basically, that Deegan is going to be heritage listed. Applications have been put forward, so this is all important as far as the future of Deegan and, you know, making it that dual facility which Racing Queensland want to achieve by turning it into a harness and greyhound facility. So applications have been made and it could be heritage listed.
quick mentions on Rosa Mack and Wicked Style.
Rosa Mack was back at the trials last week, now part of the Vicky Rasmussen stable, trialled well. She won the trial, she'll trial again this week. Wicked Style, who scored a narrow victory on Friday night. Connections are looking at the Simpson Memorial in Sydney on January 14. It's a $40,000 feature.
Okay. Well, Vicky Rasmussen and Shane Graham have been a formidable combination for several months, so much so that they're treated with utmost respect by punters and rivals alike. This is the first part of our two-part feature on Shane Graham and Vicky Rasmussen.
Young couple Vicky Rasmussen and Shane Graham have quickly become a potent force in Queensland harness racing, so I thought this morning I'd head out to their property and catch up with Shane Graham, the stable spokesman, to find out the secret behind their success. Shane, thanks for your time today. It's fair to say this partnership that you've got now with Vicky Rasmussen, it just continues to go from strength to strength. You must be pleased with the way the results are coming your way.
Yeah, no, we're real happy, you know, like probably the last, you know, it's been building up over the last probably 12 months, you know, but even just the last couple of months and last month, it's really, you know, we've sort of got a bit better class horses on the Saturday night, and it's definitely, yeah, like we're more than happy, you know, the way it's going.
Well, that's how they say it. Rome wasn't built in a day, and you've gradually made that step up. And that's the key, isn't it? Getting that better quality horse into the camp. It's something that's not going to happen overnight, but if you keep persisting, it will happen. And the proof's in the pudding with your results in the past 18 months.
Yeah, that's right. You know, like we sort of just started off, and you know, we sort of didn't really have a lot of metro horses and that, and you know, you just got to keep sort of chipping away at it, and the better ones, you know, hopefully come into the stable. And we have been lucky to get a couple of nice ones that have helped things out, and you know, it's probably attracted a bit better class horse. And you know, like, you know, every trainer, you know, that's what you want to be racing on Saturday nights, and you know, touch wood, we're sort of getting there, and it'd be nice if we can just stay there now.
You've got your own property here with Vicky, and you keep making additions to the property, building new things for the horses and that. Are you happy with the way things are progressing in that area? Yeah,
real happy. Like, you know, when we first come here, like, there was a few yards up and that, and Vicky only had a small team of herself then, and it was okay. But then when I sort of, you know, we moved together to make a partnership and that, we had to sort of, you know, make extra room and that, and we're pretty much, everything's done, you know, like we're sort of getting there. We've got the shelters on the place and the walking machine and that, so we're, you know, there's a few little things to go, but we're pretty much there really, so no, we're real happy.
How many horses currently in work together?
We've got about the 28 mark at the moment. We sort of, you know, like, that's probably enough for us. We're sort of, you know, but you get offered new ones and you can't really say no to them. You've got to give them a try, so, you know, it's just I suppose when they're not up to scratch, you just got to move them on and keep making way, hopefully, for the new, better ones to come.
You guys are both young. As far as the partnership is concerned, is it one of those, you know, processes where you bounce ideas off each other? You've got an idea, Vicky might have an idea, and whatever works in the end, you sort of work it out together and then go that way, and it obviously works for the horses because the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, that's right. You know, like we've sort of, you know, like we've learnt different things along the way, and been sort of, you know, I've been with my dad and that, you know, learned stuff with breakers, and Vicky sort of, you know, knocked around with her dad and that, and you just, yeah, it's good, you know, like you sort of can put two heads together at things and come up with different ideas, and, you know, like it is, you know, I think it makes our job a bit easier when we can sort of talk to each other and, you know, come up with a strategy or whatnot.
I'll put you in a difficult position here. What's the best thing about Vicky as far as the horses are concerned? She's got a good eye for a horse, let's be honest.
Yeah, no, she does, and I'd have to say she's a good worker. Like, everything's got to be done spot on, you know, and if it's not done, you know, she'll redo it again. So she's
she runs a tight ship, eh?
Yep. She's a worker, put it that way.
Good stuff. One of the stars of the stable, without doubt. She is the stable star. Talk and Emotion. This is her right here. She's just about ready to go again. Have you been surprised, or has she exceeded your expectations with what she's achieved in her career so far? Oh,
she has, you know, for sure. Like, to look at her now, to see what she is, you know, when she comes, she was half the size, and, you know, she's just, yeah, like, we didn't think she'd turn out to what she was, you know, like, and touch wood, she seems, I think, still the best is ahead of her.
We haven't seen her since the Winter Carnival. She was second in the 4-year-old championship behind Lanercost. There's nothing wrong with that form. And then she was fourth. It's the first time she missed the place in the 4- and 5-year-old championship. She had a rotten draw that night. What does the future hold for Talking Emotion?
Yeah, we'll just mainly aim for the ladyship in January. Like, she's got the couple of lead-up mares races for it, and then the ladyship, that'll be, her main aim really. So we'll just aim towards that.
Just going back to that carnival last year, do you think that's going to be the making of her? Throwing her in against the big boys, like Lanercost and co. Has she felt a little different this time in? Is she stronger physically and mentally now? Yeah, for sure. I think she was probably, she was coming to the end of the season there, and she went super in the 4- and 5-year-old, but she was probably just on the little tired stage. So with the spell, she's done well, and physically she's built up. She just keeps getting bigger and stronger. So we're really looking forward to sort of getting down to Menangle and racing this time with her. Her work's been, pretty good, so we're happy with her at this stage. You wouldn't swap her for any of those mares? There's some good mares about, but you wouldn't swap her, would you?
No. She, just with her speed, and she can just track on a good speed. I just think, the way Menangle racing is and the track, it's just going to suit her down to the ground.
One thing that looks good for the future of Queensland with the mares, we've got Talking Emotion, Forever Gold, Courageous Annie. So the mares races here in Queensland, they're not going to be easy. So I'm sure connections of all three mares might have some dodging and weaving to do in time to come.
Yeah, that's right. It's sort of, Queensland, they just keep sort of coming up with them. Previous there's Black's Fake, Beagle Johnny, Slip and Slide, and then, these mares coming through, So I think, no matter where they go, they're all going to hold their own in all the mares races, really.
Yeah. What about a recent addition to the stable of Rosa Mac? How's she coming along, and what plans do you have for her?
Yeah, no, she's coming along good, she's, you're happy to get an Australia Gold winner into your stable, so she's coming along good. She'll, if she sort of lines up when we head down with this mare to Menangle, there's the JL Wraith Memorial race, and if she sort of measures up, there's plenty of races on for 3-year-old fillies. So if she sort of steps up to it, she could have a big season too.
And we'll continue our profile on Shane and Vicky next Monday night on Blinkers Off. We're going to a break. Back with more in just a moment. Welcome back to Blinkers Off. Lord Mayor's Cup night at Albion Park Saturday night. It was the feature race, and probably Queensland's best open class pacers were assembled. Let's go to the action.
Away, Passion and Glory from the inside left well, showing pace Mr. Skyrocket. Atomic Arc runs the gate hard, and Astraios is charging through from the second row. Funny Boy very deep into the first turn. Our White Knight straight onto the back of Astraios, so Petrov wants in on the action. 3 back on the inside was I Am Sam, Be Diligent, beaten for early speed, then a Riverboat Star out towards the tail. Our Archangel with Artifactor. Astraios from the outside of the second row, in front before the mile marker. Good aggressive driving by Kelly Dawson, and he's in his favourite role now, Astraios, leading the way by 3 metres. Striding to second on the outside, Be Diligent, leaders back third, Atomic Arc. Our White Knight, the favourite, lands a beautiful trail, he's 1 by 1. Passion and Glory fifth, 3 back on the inside, then Mr. Skyrocket. I Am Sam first up tonight, he's 4 back on the inside, covered up by Riverboat Star, then Our Archangel Artifactor. Funny Boy went forward, couldn't get in, snicked back to the tail. That lead time, 37.7. They've backed off on the tempo at the 1200 metre marker. Third quarter, 29.2. They're at the turn. Astraios going well, leading 3 metres. Our White Knight trying to run on. Atomic Arc to the outside. Artifactor still running on. Astraios in front. Our White Knight, Artifactor still coming. Astraios fighting them all off. Astraios takes it out. Astraios too good. Tight the minors. Artifactor, Atomic Arc, Our White Knight. We'll leave that to the judge. Wider Our Archangel, then Mr. Skyrocket, a Riverboat Star, Be Diligent knocking up, then I Am Sam, Funny Boy, and Passion and Glory eased out of the race at the 700 metre marker.
Kelly, the Astraios, arguably one of the most improved horses that's going around the Queensland circuit at the moment.
He's always been going super. He's just had a lot of luck in these mile races. He can run a brilliant mile with the hood on. He can just do anything.
And the wins in the last few weeks here at Albion Park have been something special. A 153.3 mile rate recorded 3 starts ago.
Yeah, you know, that run, he's run 53.3 before himself, you know, but that other one, you know, he's done all the work himself. He led, he backed it up with 54 in the death, you know, just keeps going better.
And tonight, I don't know how many punters and spectators thought that you'd be in front inside the first 800 metres.
No, you know, we had a lot of debates about it, but I didn't think I'd get there that quick. But once I was, I knew it was going to be hard for him to run us down.
And certainly that last quarter of 28.6 added to that fact as well.
Yeah, our main danger was 1-1. You know, I knew as soon as he came out we had to be running hard, and, you know, it would have been hard to run past him.
So how does it feel adding the Lord Mayor's Cup to your honour roll as well?
It's definitely the best race I've ever won, but, you know, just behind this horse, he deserves it.
And you've been the regular stable driver as well on to Strayos for quite some time, formerly with its previous trainer, Kenneth Rattray.
Yeah, Ken and Sally have been great to me. You know, they've given me a lot of the stable drives, and to be able to get a regular drive like this one, it just makes everything easy.
Kelly, congratulations on what is no doubt one of the highlights of your career.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Yes, to Strayos there and Kelly Dawson driving. She knows the horse well, but he's, as I said at the top of the show, just so versatile.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It was a great drive. The drive won the race from the outside of the second row. Aggressive, following through hard behind Atomic Arc. In front before the mile marker. Once he was in front, that's his favourite role. He was always going to prove hard to beat. I thought Artifactor ran out of his skin to run second. His run was absolutely terrific. Low flying, that pacer. Our White Knight race favourite, a fraction disappointing. He was given a butte trip in transit there by Chris Petrov. Just didn't finish off in the home straight. But I wouldn't be dropping off just yet. That was his second run back from a let-up.
Question without notice, how many races has Strayos won at Albion Park?
I would say 34.
Yeah, amazing figures. Okay, we're going to a break. Coming back with more about Albion Park in just a moment. Welcome back to Blinkers Off. Hope you're enjoying the program. It was great to see Talk in Motion back in action and winning action at Albion Park on Saturday night. Brad Cowan had the opportunity to drive with Shane Graham suspended, and we had a chat with Brad post-race.
Well, returning to the racing scene tonight here at Albion Park was Talk in Motion in the final race. Brad Cowan, his first drive on the horse, and scored a winner, Brad.
Yeah, you know, it was a bit of an honour to, you know, a bit of a privilege to be able to sit behind such a, you know, highly rated horse. You know, she can be a little bit of a handful too, so, you know, it's good to get the drive.
And it was an all-the-way victory.
Yeah, no, she just did it quite nice. You know, she was wanting to switch off when she when Kylie jumped in behind me. She was wanting to switch off and just, you know, stuff around a little bit. But, you know, when she pulled back out, you know, she kicked up and got going again with her.
Certainly, when she puts her mind to it, she is a brilliant racehorse, isn't she?
Yeah, for sure. You know, down in the back when Kylie, you know, got going, like, you know, she just felt like a machine. She was just wanting to really run down the back.
Last 2 quarters of 29 and home in 28.3.
Yeah, no, that was quite good first up.
The other horse was coming quickly at the end. She had to dig deep. She can do that, and she did. Yeah,
well, you know, the other horse is no slouch. You know, he showed, you know, I think it was 2 weeks ago when he got home in 26 that, you know, he's quite a nice horse.
That was the second heat of the M1 series, the finals next Saturday night. It's going to be a great final, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. You know, you got horses like Horace Foxley and Pacific Cruiser. You know, they're nice horses as well, and, you know, they race them well.
And that brings her total in a 26 race starts to 16 career victories. So the 5-year-old, she's done it once again, and that brings her earnings to over $180,000 tonight.
Yeah, she's done a good job, you know, throughout her whole career, and, you know, I'm pretty sure she's still only lightly raced, you know, for her age. So I'm sure there's plenty more racing left in her.
Congratulations, Brad. I'm sure it was a big thrill to drive her.
Yeah, it was for sure. Thank you.
Yes, Talk in Motion winning as expected. What's her main goal this campaign?
Ladyship Mile is going to be the obvious target. That comes up in the first week of March down in Sydney. It's worth $200,000, the Ladyship Mile. So that's going to be the obvious target for her. She's got to get over next week's final first. That's going to be a good race because she's taking on fit and in-form runners like Horace Foxley, Pacific Cruiser. But no doubt she's going to take a lot of benefit from that run there on Saturday night. She was pretty sharp. She was only coming off one trial where she made a break in that trial.
But Coburn is fresh back from suspension. Of course, the right-hand man with Grant Dixon, and he pardoned Maggie Mine to victory.
Well, wrapping up a brilliant 48-hour period, Barton Coburn aboard Maggie Mine, a Quinella for the stable. Barton, first of all, 4 winners for the weekend.
Yeah, it was a slow start to the week, but managed to finish in a bit of form.
Last night, 2 winners. Sunlit Plains, a horse that you train yourself, and you drove a winner for your boss, Grant Dixon, aboard Urbane Bromac.
Yeah, they both went really good. Urban Bromac's lovely little sit sprint horse. Everything panned out perfect for him, and Sunlit Plains, he had a little bit more luck this week and just proved too strong.
Sunlit Plains is certainly one to watch out for in the future, isn't he?
Oh, I hope you're right.
Let's take it to today. You want to race at Redcliffe as well, the non-TAB?
Yeah, done a bit of travelling today off to Redcliffe. Had a bit of a up and down day. Girl with Promise, she got up there and was just too strong for him.
Yeah, 2 minutes girl with Promise at OK odds, too, of $2.50. Tonight, Maggie Mine sat in the death seat outside of the race favourite and stablemate Arc de Jean, and you got there in the end by a neck.
Yeah, she's a lovely old girl. She's got really good form. She sort of can do it pretty tough, can do it sit sprint. She's very versatile. It makes it a bit easy to drive. As you said, yeah, Grant and I fighting at the finish, so it was a good result.
29.5 down the back, home in 28.2. She certainly is tough, isn't she? That was her 27th race start for 13 career victories. That was a second victory in the last 4 starts.
Yeah, she's done a terrific job here in town. And I guess while she's still racing good, we'll keep chasing the money.
So back here next Saturday night, no doubt?
Oh, yes, that's up to Grant, but I'd be saying yes.
Congratulations, Barton, on a great 48-hour period.
Thanks, Ant.
Well, a good night for the Seymour family, of course, winning with Mr. Feelgood at Cranbourne, and Maggie Mine, who's been a good money spinner and successful at the Creek.
She's a mare with a very good record, Maggie Mine, and she appreciated the class drop. She was back against her own sex there on Saturday night, and despite racing without a cover, proved too good, wearing down stablemate and race favourite Arc de Jean. So all points go to Maggie Mine for that performance there on Saturday night. It was a good, strong victory.
Okay, appreciate your time tonight, Chris.
Thanks, David.
Chris Barsby joining us on Blinkers Off, and folks, thanks for your time as well. Look forward to being with you again next Monday night for another edition of Blinkers Off.